I think one of Oscar Isaac's best line deliveries in the entire movie is when the captain says, "Who made him?" And he says, "I did.
Yeah.
I made him," in this haunted kind of voice.
Yeah.
But it's also sort of pitiful and sorrowful, and like he's ashamed almost.
Yeah.
I made him.
That's so good.
And it's early on, but it's so good. It's so good.
That actually kind of dovetails into the thing that I just remembered I wanted to bring up when it comes to line deliveries or moments that I was just like, oh, that's so awesome. I fucking love the moment when Victor's decided that he's gonna destroy everything, and he goes down to the creature and he's like, say something else, and the creature says, Victor, and so Victor's like, okay, fuck it, I'm destroying everything. And then as he's walking away, the creature gets that shit-eating grin on his face and just goes, Elizabeth. And it's so, like, those are the moments I think of when I'm like, oh, it's so gothic. It's so, like, just because it, and also I love it because I feel like the easy choice to make as a storyteller would be like, oh, isn't it tragic that Victor didn't learn that the creature did learn one other word. It was Elizabeth's name. And that becomes a thing for the rest of the movie. I could see that being the movie. But the fact that it's like, no, the creature says Elizabeth, and you can tell on his face, like, he understands what he's doing. You see that, like, that intellect that Elizabeth was talking about. And it's such a satisfying character moment.
Like, he chooses to not say it when Victor would have wanted him to.
Yeah.
But what's also interesting is that Victor wants to kill him for the crime of not learning, which is what his father used to hit him for.
Yeah.
That is what makes him, I'll say, snap. I think part of it also is his jealousy that Elizabeth likes the creature.
Yeah,
I will say, I don't, the glove as lover's token was just so striking to me.
Oh, yeah.
But, I don't know who people identify with when they read the book or watch the movie. I mean, obviously, if it's more of a gentle giant type Frankenstein, they may identify with him as an outcast. You know, the book seems more like you're meant to identify with Victor and how tragic it is that he has this mistake, this bad decision chasing him. I identify with this Elizabeth.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically. I identify with the monster fucker. I hate to say it, but I do.
Knowing the circles that we have collected over the years, I think you're in good company.
I think Guillermo del Toro is definitely a monster fucker, quite honestly. But he also, I think, sees himself as the creature.
No, well, so like just to touch on that for a moment, it's like, if you didn't know it after Shape of Water, like I saw people watching
that post
that like seeing Frankenstein and making comments like, oh, the creature was pretty sexy. What was that all about? And it's like, have we forgotten that this is the guy who made a movie where a woman fucks a fish person?
Like, I'm trying to find exactly what it was, because the way I reblogged it was like, I don't know that I see it. I basically tagged it The Shape of Water 2017 because it was like, he loves it like a fish in water that's wet. And it was like, yeah, literally that he made that movie, like literally. Yeah. But yeah, I even in vampire movies, which I love, vampires are like my favorite gothic monster. I identify with like the person who wants to be with the vampire.
Yeah. Like
forget the whole reincarnated Dracula and Mina thing, Mina and Jonathan for life, whatever. Yeah. But the story, I identify with the monster fucker. I just do. Yeah. So when Elizabeth's reaching out to him and saying, "Who hurt you?" I was like, no, that's me.
No,
that's who I am.
Well, in particularly in a take on the creature where the creature is so innocent and is so just like he is like it's I don't know anyone who could watch that movie and not be on the creature's side by the end of it.
Yeah, if you're willing to accept the changes he made in the first place, if you hate it because he changed it from the book, then you're not going to. You're not participating in this narrative, which is fine. That's your right. But if you are willing to go with it, then Yeah, like he doesn't even say, I'm going to come back in 2 years and kill you. It is Elizabeth's wedding night. I was about to say
Yeah.
Victor's, and that's the whole point. That's so great when he comes in and says something about seeing her wedding dress, and she's like, no, that's unlucky for the groom. Like, not you, buddy, not
Yeah.
you. But, you know, the creature comes in and asks for this companion, and that conversation immediately goes south.
Yeah.
And he gets to carry Elizabeth away in this, I mean, after Victor has accidentally, like, killed her.
Yeah.
Which, again, the creature didn't do that, Victor did.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a change.
That is a huge change.
I mean, and it basically comes down to everything is Victor's fault, and this movie's like, yeah, it is.
Yep.
All of it. It's all of his fault. And in some ways, that makes more sense to me that he would have the arrogance and the drive to make a person.
Yeah.
Like the sad little hapless Victor in the book. I'm like, I don't know how he had the stomach for this in the first place. If he just like ran away when it worked. Oh, that reminds me. The religious idea of creation and the fall from the Garden of Eden. I feel like part of the story in the movie is that this was cursed from the beginning. When you have Harlander's arms dealer money, you have Harlander damaging the pure silver. They make a huge deal out of this. He damages the pure silver. Is it lightning rod?
Yeah.
You know, and then he accidentally dies, but that's now a stain on this entire act of creation. He had syphilis. This entire endeavor is tainted from the beginning. Sort of like, as fallen mortals, this is the best we're going to be able to do. But the other thing is that it cracked me up so bad when Harlander was like, I want you to put me in the body of the creature. And I kept waiting for Victor to be like, learn to science that. We didn't talk about that. I can't just do that. We didn't talk about transferring consciousness.
Yeah.
Now he is saying you have syphilis, it's in your brain. And I was like, we didn't even talk about how to do that. How is he even supposed to? I'm like, if he pushed Harlander, I'm not sure I would have blamed him at that point.
That's another beautiful line delivery from Oscar Isaac, where he's like, I want you to put me in the creature, and Oscar Isaac's Frankenstein, without hesitation, is just like, no.
Like, what the fuck? No. I wanted him to be like, you didn't tell me I would need to do that. Yeah. We didn't study up on that. I didn't know there was going to be a quiz. We didn't cover that material. What's wrong with you? There was also this really interesting motif of exposed brains. Like when Harlander falls, the back of his skull.
Yep.
It was so gross. It was so gross.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure why we kept seeing that, unless it was just, you know, something being flawed, or maybe everyone is flawed because we see this over and over, this exposed brain. Okay. I was trying to remember the other place we saw it. I think I emailed this part to you.
Oh.
Was anybody as horrified as I was by the initial demo of a shopkeeper's brain and a carpenter's arm, and it's just this quarter of a person.
Yeah.
But he's like in open eyes, seemingly in pain. I'm like, if he's conscious enough to choose to hold and drop an apple, is he conscious of what he is? That he's an arm and half a torso?
Yeah.
Is he in pain? Like, oh my God, that to me was up there with some of the shit we've seen in Hannibal.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Not because it was, it was conceptually horrifying.
Yeah.
I was just like, is anybody else as freaked out as I am right now? This is horrific. And then he just so casually just like unplugs him or whatever it is.
That to me was like the first sign of like, oh, this is a Victor that is so different from the book. Not just because of the like arrogance and ambition and stuff, but the way that he reacts to bringing this thing to life. Because this was something that I was going to bring up before when we were talking about the scene, like the difference between in the book, Victor, like the creature comes to life and Victor just gets the hell out of Dodge. Whereas in the movie, it's like, oh, he didn't, he thinks he failed. And then the creature comes back and he's like, oh, it did work. But the thing that I've always appreciated about that scene in the book when the creature comes to life, I wish I had it bookmarked because I do have the book in front of me. But there's something about the description where I think Victor says in the book, like, I had assembled this thing out of the most beautiful pieces of the human beings that I could find, but and it, like, as it was lying there still, it still looked beautiful. But the moment that it starts to move, that is the moment that I was filled with horror. That to me is such a, like, encapsulation of the idea of the uncanny valley. How
Yeah.
part of that what gauges stuff on the uncanny valley is whether or not the thing is moving or not. How much that feeling of revulsion is brought about in the mind, and so that is one of those things where, like, I almost see, like, some, like, if I'm putting this in the most generous terms for Victor, like, I can see, okay, so that is why he ran. Okay, he like, there was this uncanny valley effect, and in the moment it was just so much shock that he had to get out of there. But then, yeah, the creature comes to him, and then he just still doesn't do anything.
Where did you think it went?
Yes.
Like, what? Okay, I have actually found it. If you want to find it in your book, it's the very beginning of chapter 5.
Chapter 5, okay. Oh, no mortal could support the horror of that countenance. A mummy again endued with an animation could not be so hideous as that wretch. I had gazed on him while unfinished. He was ugly then, but when those muscles and joints were rendered capable of motion, it became a thing such as even Dante could not have conceived. Yeah, that's the moment.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And in the movie, I remember the shot specifically being Victor hurrying up the outside stairs. Maybe this is when he's going to set the building on fire. Mm-hmm. And he says something that sounded very postpartum depression to me about how he felt like he'd made it. I think it's from the sentiment of this section.
Yeah.
He felt like he had done something just wrong. Mm-hmm. And even if not morally wrong, it just wasn't what he had wanted. It just, he didn't connect with it. And I'm trying to be very delicate about comparing this really to actual parents' experiences, but given what Mary Shelley had going on and seemed to have been thinking when she wrote this, I do think that comparison is there.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are people who have done, like, term papers on this that are much more knowledgeable.
Oh, absolutely.
And much more articulate than we're able to be in a casual, chill, lo-fi podcast. But I think there are definitely those connections to be made.
Yeah, and I think you do see them in the movie. Del Toro does kind of nod at these ideas, but at the same time, there is quite understandably less sympathy for Victor. Mm-hmm. And I think he changes Victor to make those actions make sense. Yeah. Someone who's arrogant enough to make this creature, but then also abandon him. Yeah. And is so callous towards him. The person who's as sensitive as the book Victor, you might think might have more empathy for him. And because he is sensitive, it just seems hapless and just to abdicate responsibility because he feels faint. Mm-hmm. Like, okay. I don't know. I feel like he should have, if he really felt that way about the creature, he needed to have tried to take more action.
Yeah.
I think at one point he does say, I was going to get a gun. I think this may be the rewritten version of his wedding night. I don't recall him actually trying to do something about it, but it may be in the rewritten version that he says, I got a shotgun, a rifle, something, and he just isn't able to get back to their room in time. It's something a little more like that. But just, Victor, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? You can tell that Guillermo del Toro also really loves the imagery of the Bride of Frankenstein because he wanted to rope Elizabeth into that, which the Kenneth Branagh movie also does. Yeah. It turns Elizabeth into the Bride of Frankenstein, and she does not want any part of that. Mm-hmm. But she gets killed and then resurrected. And in this one, you can tell he really wanted those bandages, the ones that are on Elizabeth's sleeves. He really wanted that imagery and wanted to make sure it got in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting to think about the Kenneth Branagh one too, because I have seen that. I think I caught it on TV at one point, And that, when it comes to adaptations that are faithful to the book, that one is probably the closest.
Yeah.
But even then, yeah, it does a little remix on it so that it can have that Bride of Frankenstein imagery and stuff. Yeah, it's. I'm trying to figure out what like where to go with the conversation, because we probably want to wrap up soon. But I'm trying to figure out what's a good place to end on. Like, I guess one of the things I did want to ask you is like, what would you say were your favorite things about the movie? I have a few things in mind in my own head, but I was curious about when it came to you.
I loved this shot so much that I wrote it down. When the creature is holding that one stick of dynamite, like it's a candle,
Oh yeah.
and it's illuminating his face.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, I can't remember what it made me think of. It made me think of something specific. Also, the way the camera focuses on the lower part of the water tower while Victor's trying to burn it down, so that it looks like it's a cathedral.
Yeah.
Because when you have a full wide shot, it looks like Saruman's tower, like it's some evil looking shit. But you really get that sense of it's a cathedral, and then it says water is life at the top. You have like this water birth of the creature coming out through this, chute. And where are my notes? Frankenstein notes. Let's see what I had in here.
I'm thinking of like just specific moments that I loved. I loved the confessional scene, how it comes off as like, oh, Victor's being a total creeper. What is he doing? And then she turns it around on him. That I thought was awesome.
Yeah. Like, hi.
The creature's eyes, and the fact that one of them has in the costuming terms, like it has a contact on it to make it look different, a little bit more animalistic. I think they were going for, if I remember from interviews correctly, and one of them ends up is just Jacob Elordi's natural eye, which wasn't the original plan. They had made two contacts, but one of them got ruined or something, or it wasn't fitting right, and they were like, "Oh, we'll have to remake that." And then Guillermo del Toro was like, no, actually, let's have him just have the one eye that looks different, and then they utilize that in the movie where he's like in those scenes where the creature is showing his rage. Those are the scenes where he wanted to focus on the more animalistic looking eye, and those moments where he feels more human and more. There's more of that human connection there. Those are the ones where you're just seeing Jacob Elordi's natural eye.
Yeah. Here's what I had in my notes. The reason I brought up the tower right after that was because to me, the stick of dynamite looked like the burning tower.
Oh.
That would be why.
Okay.
That would be why.
Wow.
That would be why.
Yeah.
It's just a gorgeous shot in general. Mm-hmm. And I think that was kind of supposed to take the place of the burning funeral pyre. And then it's like, see how it didn't work?
Mm.
I was like, dude, if you can't blow yourself up with dynamite, I don't know what you want Victor to do for you. Like... I don't know. Mm-hmm. I did catch something about the model with the peach, the mostly nude model who was eating the peach that was supposed to be in the painting. Yeah. It does represent life, but I want to say in Chinese mythology, it also represents immortality.
Ah.
So there's a little hint there that's where they're going with it, because he does start talking about Eastern science and the concept of qi. And so Harlander does kind of bring, Asia into it.
This is why I love Guillermo del Toro's movies, which I talked to you before about how, and I've talked to a bunch of people actually, how there are so many times I'll be watching a Guillermo del Toro movie and it gets to the end and I'm like, I don't know how I actually felt about that. I don't know about how I feel about all the storytelling decisions he made. And yet I will still go and watch his movies because he puts this much thought into it. Everything is intentional in that way that we've been praising the Silent Hill 2 remake for. And we praised Hannibal for when that was on. Like, Brian Fuller hopping on Twitter and being like, oh, this horrible thing that just happened in the TV show you're watching, that's actually based on something that can really happen. I'm like, why? But it's this idea that like there are these creators who think this deeply about this stuff. And for people who really get into that side of things, like I said on previous podcasts, you shouldn't need to know all this stuff to be able to appreciate and enjoy something. But if you have that sort of mind, it is really, it's so satisfying to be able to dig into things and be like, oh, was there a particular color theory he was using here? And watch an interview where Guillermo del Toro is like, yes, absolutely, and here's what it was, and get that sense of like, oh no, this again, on that craft level, it is something that was crafted so particularly and was very successful in a lot of the things that it was trying to accomplish, even if that's different than the thing that it was adapted from.
Like sometimes I might not like it, but I respect it.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, you swung for the fences with this. You did it with a lot of intelligence and a lot of verve and a lot of skill. I respect where you went with this. I mostly, I liked it, but I do have a couple more things in my notes. Sure. There were a couple scenes, including just the look of the creature himself, that reminded me of the movie Prometheus.
Oh, no,
and the
absolutely.
What? Yeah, and I was like, okay, surely Guillermo del Toro saw that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything in particular about that, but my dad also thought the same thing when he was watching it, and I have to think that it was intentional because the movie is literally called Prometheus.
And it is about creating life, just not who you would have thought created it. Yeah. But something about the water itself made me think of it, the actual shot.
Yeah, but there are aspects of the creature design where like it harkens to the I think they're called the architects in the movie. I think everyone online calls them the Prometheans or whatever.
Yeah, the smoothness and the paleness. Engineers, that's what it is. I haven't seen that movie since it came out. Like I saw it a few times, but not since it came out. Yeah. The other thing I had written was when he confronts Elizabeth right after she's gone down again to see the creature, when Victor does. And he says something like, "What about my pain?" And I was like, I swear to God, motherfucker, what? I mean, it was just such an incel type thing to say.
I'll put it on screen, but there was a meme that someone made like shortly after the movie came out that I loved, where it's just that image of Oscar Isaac sitting in that robe in that chair or whatever, and the caption on it is just like, "Oh, so I guess we're gonna blame the guy whose fault it is." Something like that.
Oh, I remember that. It was like, oh, okay, if you just have to, it's that exact same dressing gown, blame him, I guess. What else did I will give you a screenshot of my notes because let's see. And then when he's learning to read from the old man, and the old man says, he points to the Bible and says, "This is the word. He sent us his son." And I was like, but the word made me think of Victor saying, "I want you to say a word, a different word than this. Say something."
Or that's another thing, the way that he like extrapolates on stuff that I don't think were in the novel. Like the fact that he, like right at the beginning of the movie, when he introduces himself as Victor, he talks about how his father thought it was like a prophecy of sort, like, oh, you're going to be a victor or a champion or something, or like what does it mean? Or like they're grappling with so much meaning and stuff, not just what's there in the book, but additional things that could be extrapolated upon from the book.
I think he said something like, "Who are you?" This is early on with the creature, and all the creature says is Victor. And Victor says something like, "Of course you are. Like, you're my son. Of course you're Victor." But then there's the idea of the Victor being the champion. Like, specifically, do you know what that name means? And the captain says, yes. Like, we point out that's the name of, he cares about, is this creature excellent, glorious? Is he the best? No, he doesn't learn, Yeah. It just...
And that's another thing that just makes me think of like my college literature classes talking about the like stuff like Catcher in the Rye, the fact that Holden Caulfield keeps saying, "Oh, it kills me." It's like, oh yeah, it's a kind of casual phrase he's throwing out there, but does it suggest something about his mental state? Does he wish he was dead or something like that? And I mean, there are a lot of things you can extrapolate on in college English classes, but but it does, like, again, it's like Guillermo del Toro is clearly a student of those things. He's a student of Gothic literature, of like so many different things that he puts into his movies, and if you're looking for it, it's there.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to unpack in the movie.
Yeah.
Even if it is different. And again, I can get, I'll say irrational because I think I'm irrational. I can get irrational about adaptations of things I love and get upset. You changed it. What? No. So if you are angry about this adaptation, I completely get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But for someone who was not deeply invested in the book, which honestly is really good. I know I sound really angry at Victor, but I enjoyed it enough to read it twice in 2 days.
That's the thing. It's like there's a difference between like enjoying a book and your feelings about characters. Like, it's a very well executed character. He's awful.
And again, I also understood what was happening in the book a little better when I thought about the metaphor Mary Shelley may have been trying to get across, and that I felt like maybe it doesn't work, but it's interesting that she was working out some of these feelings and experiences that way. I believe she had some miscarriages as well as a son later on. So, I mean, she went through a lot, and the act of creation for her and for her mother, and maybe for other women she knew, often becomes an act of destruction that you bring upon yourself in some ways if you were trying to get pregnant, if you wanted to get pregnant. In other ways, it could be something that happens to you, particularly as part of your marriage and your husband's expectations, and you feel like you have to do this, but maybe you aren't as happy about that as other parents are, and you have to put up with it anyway, and you can't escape from it. And so that was a really interesting, to me, an interesting way to look at the story.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it gave me more sympathy for Victor, but it
adds a dimension that opens up more possibilities for like that consideration and connection.
I admired what she was doing more.
Yeah.
Once I thought of that, even if I was like, Victor, man, you did this to yourself. You're the one who did this. Okay, no one did this to you. No one got you pregnant with this piecemeal corpse in the next room.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying not to say man up. That's a gendered term.
Yeah.
You know, you need to adult and do something about that.
Responsibility for your actions.
Buck up, little guy. You need to get in there and do something. Yeah. So
I don't care if it's like giving you the uncanny valley vibe. Like, you got to get over it at some point. You did that.
You got to do this. And, you know, we didn't even bring up his best friend. Was it Henry Clerval?
Oh, yeah, Clerval.
Who's totally missing from this movie entirely.
Yeah.
And he is in the Branagh version, I'm pretty sure.
I wonder if, that's sort of what his brother in the Guillermo del Toro movie was. I feel like, what's his brother's name? Frederick or something? Franklin? William. Why did I think it was an F name? William,
I don't know.
Feels like a composite of Victor's actual brother in the book and Henry Clerval to me.
Yeah. It could be that.
Yeah.
Ernest is probably out there somewhere, like, fuck Ernest. We don't know what's going on with him. I felt so bad for the guy. Or maybe I don't feel bad at all, because the creature never went after him. They just forgot that there was another brother. And I was like, well, just run, dude. Just never look back. But I do wonder if people were upset that he wasn't in the book, in the movie.
Yeah.
I wondered if maybe that was part of it.
Yeah.
See, and we were talking about this before we started. I was tempted to get on Tumblr and say, if you didn't like the movie, what did you not like about it? And did that have anything to do with changes from the book? And then I was like, I don't know that I'm ready for that storm. Like, they're not going to be mad at me because I'm just asking. Like, I'm neither, defending or attacking the movie in this moment. I'm curious, what's the pulse here? If so, why? And then I was just like, I don't know that I'm ready to reap that whirlwind.
Mm-hmm. It's the internet. You never know.
But I thought about it.
But yeah.
I do know people weren't happy with the portrayal of wolves.
Yeah.
and we had talked about how they kind of served a fairy tale purpose.
Yeah, that to me, like to be clear, like, no, that isn't the way that wolves are actually act in real life. They don't go
They don't behave
hunting
that
down
way.
a family or something like that. But it, like, when it happened in the movie, I did it, like, it felt very natural to me in terms of Guillermo del Toro's storytelling, because, like, from Pan's Labyrinth to so many other things, to the sadly canned Silent Hills, Guillermo del Toro has such a love for fairy tales and folk tales, and, like, wolves do have that. They tend to have that symbolism in the classic fairy tales of death, or, like, of nature, like, coming in and fucking with people who try to fuck with nature, which isn't what that family was doing, even. But it also made me think of, I don't know if anyone listening is going to be familiar with this, but, like, Dimension 20, the role playing show that Brennan Lee Mulligan runs, they did a season called Never After that was a riff on a bunch of different fairy tales, and there is a big bad wolf character in that is literally like the specter of death in that world. And so that was kind of another connection that I made in my head, although in that portrayal it is a much more, like, reverent portrayal of the wolf. And that was probably Brennan Lee Mulligan's way of being like, hey, yeah, this is what the wolf represented in those classic fairy tales, but here's a spin on it that kind of is less demonizing. This is a version of it where it's not simply a villain. It's just like, no, this is simply the fact of the world. Like, death happens, and like, this wolf character is like the arbitrator of it, because that is part of this cycle of things, and it is a very naturalistic take on the wolf as a character in folk tales or literature.
What's interesting is that earlier in the movie, the creature had said he watched the men shoot the wolves who were eating the lambs, and he said, I came to understand that violence was part of nature.
Yeah.
And so that's almost like, even though wolves don't attack animals in the middle of the day in front of your house, that's not what they do. But okay, that was a more realistic concept to draw from that, conclusion to draw from that. And then we had, so my point being, if that is your issue with the movie, I get that. I completely get that. And it is an effective fairy tale image, but I do kind of wish he had found a way to do something different that, in a conservationist perspective, was not as detrimental to. I get that. So in terms of asking people, what did you not like about it? I am aware of that point, and I get that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's what's a good note to end on. I mean, so I guess to wrap up my thoughts on it, like, there are those aspects of it that, like, that's probably the most inconsistent thing if we're talking about craft, is like, yeah, you set up this idea of, like, oh, here's how nature works, and then you kind of have a moment where nature doesn't actually work the way it's supposed to. But overall, like, again, for me, first of all, yeah, if you didn't like this movie, that's fine. You don't have to like things. You don't have to like everything that's out there, even if other people like it. There are plenty of things that I like that other people don't like. There are plenty of things that other people like that I don't like. And that doesn't necessarily say anything about the craft of those things either way. For me,
I can dislike 6 different things before breakfast.
Hey.
Like, it's fine.
For me, though, like, I talked before about how a lot of times I disagree with Guillermo del Toro's storytelling choices, or they feel, sometimes his stuff feels a little clunky to me. This is probably the most satisfying movie of his that I've watched. Like, there are still things that are kind of, that create some dissonance in my mind, but they are less about craft, I think, at the end of the day, and more about, like, oh, just stylistically, that isn't necessarily the thing that I would have done, or, oh, my brain's looking for this, and it doesn't have that, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work. Overall, I really love the movie, and I also, like, love how genuine and earnest that the ending is, which is, again, something that is not, like, a contemporary thing. Like, it's very much in vogue to be like ironic or like edgy or like, oh, this is, oh, I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but I really appreciate it when artists, especially in the contemporary world, make things that are that genuine and have these things of like, oh no, like this major theme at the end of the movie is this idea of forgiveness, not just for the sake of the person who perpetrated the wrongdoing, but for the person who was at the other end of it, and also may have feelings of guilt themselves for things. Like, the most powerful moment in that movie to me is when Victor says, "Forgive me, but also forgive yourself." And I think there's more to that line that I can't remember at this moment, but it's such a powerful message. That's another thing that I also just really have a lot of thoughts on, is the idea of forgiveness is a topic that I think is difficult to discuss in the contemporary world. And we do not have the time to dive deep into it right now, but I really appreciate art that wrestles with that concept of forgiveness. Like, is someone like Victor forgivable? What does it mean to forgive someone like Victor? Is it for him, or is it more for yourself? And I think that is, again, I'm not trying to decide that for people, but I think it's an interesting concept to consider, and an interesting, like, philosophical or emotional quandary to examine.
The fact that it raises the question.
Yeah.
And in terms of that earnestness and sincerity, it's like that one kind of wink at the audience where Victor says something like, you know, we're not going to have ugly stitches on this. Mm-hmm. Imagine if the entire movie had been like that. Yeah. That's the kind of thing you usually see, mm-hmm. that self-aware, snarky. Like, they let that one thing pass by because you probably were going to say, this isn't the creature I'm used to seeing. He looks beautiful. What is up with that? Yeah. So they have that one little lampshade moment, but a lot of things have that constant snarky wink in like every moment, and this movie does not do that.
And I think it's also partly because of the like stylistic things he's doing in the genre. Like, I think he's able to get away with a lot of the earnestness because it's Gothic, and Gothic literature is so much about like heightened emotion, these big dramatic things, and stuff that, like, especially if done clumsily, can come off as campy in other movies, or as disingenuous, or just like doesn't, like, there's some sort of dissonance between us because we're contemporary people who didn't grow up during the time that Gothic literature was written. Guillermo del Toro has such a love for Gothic literature, and he leans into it, and he figures out this like incredible chemistry with stuff like Crimson Peak and with Frankenstein, where he provides you with access points as a contemporary audience member. If you're, I mean, as someone who loves Gothic literature, I'm all into it, but hopefully for people who aren't necessarily as into that or don't connect with Gothic stuff as much, he's able to provide those connection points. Maybe it's something as simple as like, oh, like, he's got gore in his movies that isn't just splatter gore like a lot of horror movies, but it's still there. The violence is very felt, and that's a whole other topic to get into. But do you get what I'm saying, Cleo? I'm going to spin it to you so I don't keep just rambling.
Help. I think that's why his visuals are always so saturated, brightly colored, heightened, because it's easier. It's almost like the suspension of disbelief you have with a musical. Yeah. It's a heightened experience, and you have to buy into it. Mm. You just have to. And, well, I mean, you don't. Yeah. But if you're going to really engage with the movie, you have to kind of say, yes, this is the experience we're here for. It's going to be sung to the back row. Yeah. It's going to be these heightened colors. There's going to be tons of symbolism. And we're going to play it completely straight-faced.
Yeah, and his talent as an artist is to do that and like still have that human connection there, like have those moments of like at the end of the day, the story is about the people and their emotional connections and their arcs. There's a version of this movie where he has all that imagery, but it comes off as shallow because it's not about the people at the center of it. It's about like something else. And or maybe it wouldn't even be Shell. Maybe it's just a different take on it. But the reason I keep going back to Guillermo del Toro, like, I feel like this is going to be a recurring theme whenever we talk about the stuff we enjoy. Is like because I know I talked about it with Silent Hill, is like the artists who are able to do all these incredible craft things, incredible stylistic things, but at the end of the day, they're telling very human stories that I connect with.
Very human stories that are also very thoughtful and raise questions or topics on multiple axes.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot going on here to think about in multiple directions. And something else I wrote down was about Gothic romance.
Yeah.
And in 1800s Victorian romance, Gothic or not, there's sort of this idea that a love that is about understanding each other, and as two people, genuinely two people, no matter how poor or lower class you might be, that is worth everything. No matter how mismatched socially a couple you might be, that is worth everything. And if you marry somebody for money or position, you will regret it. Painfully, you will regret it. And you also see this theme in Jane Austen, except that in Gothic literature, you will regret it can get really ugly. And it often does happen. And you see this in Elizabeth's choice between Victor and the creature, basically. Mm-hmm. And that understanding the two of them have, no matter how brief it ends up being, is worth everything. Mm-hmm. And that's just one tiny thing that we just brought up at the end of the discussion. Yeah. And that's like an entire conversation. Yeah. And we just now only got to it. And I think, Guillermo del Toro really understands the Gothic and the themes involved and clearly loves it. And you can watch this movie and know that he loves this story. The font of the title was based on Mary Shelley's handwriting. Yeah. Like, he even when he changed it because it spoke to him on some level and he wanted to engage with the story as it is. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I really want to invoke the Wuthering Heights adaptation coming out.
We'll see if that director has a similar understanding of Gothic literature.
She doesn't, because she said, I was surprised to find that some of the scenes I had in my script weren't in the book at all. It's what I remembered from reading it when I was 14. Mm. And I was like, I don't know that that's the way you should engage with something. But I'm not the one who funded the movie, so it doesn't really matter. That's all you.
I'm
okay.
sure it will be a fascinating movie.
Bless her heart. I am sure it will be fine. And Wuthering Heights isn't one of my favorite books, so I have Jane Eyre. I have the 2011 Jane Eyre adaptation, Nobody Can Hurt Me. That's fine. I will always have that. My favorite book. They did write by us. Mm-hmm. No one can hurt me, probably. So, but it's an interesting comparison to say, yes, he changed a lot, even perhaps the entire point of the story, if you flip the sympathies. Yeah. But you can tell he loves the story and he truly engaged with it.
Yeah, he did it with care. It wasn't like, oh, I forgot this, that, or the other thing, but, well, screw it, I'm doing it this way. It was very much like, no, he knows the book back to front. He probably knows every Frankenstein movie adaptation, which there are a lot, from back to front, and all of that informed his telling.
Yeah. So, and I've really kind of gotten disinterested in movie awards over the last several years, whereas I used to be really into following them. But I will be interested to see if this becomes some kind of front runner, or if then another front runner overtakes it. Yeah. I will be interested to see how people recognize it or award it as we go into the next few months.
It's interesting because I know that I like this movie more than The Shape of Water. I don't think that this movie is going to get the Academy Award for Best Picture. I will be interested to see how many awards it's even nominated for.
I will be interested. I do know that the Academy tends to reward movies about movies. Yeah. And in some ways, that kind of is what this is. It kind of is a movie about.
That's true.
the Boris Karloff version. And I haven't seen The Shape of Water yet. Isn't there a scene involving a movie theater?
Oh yeah, no. There are few things in The Shape of Water that are clearly like love letters to theater and movie making or art in general. So
that's what, when I found out about that, I went, I think that's what hooked the Academy.
Yeah.
I think that's what did it.
And also the fact
depends.
that it's adapting a classic Universal movie, Creature of the Black Lagoon.
That's also true. But since this does kind of have in some ways, this may end up being the safe choice because it is a classic story compared to other things that might get nominated. I don't know. It can really, that's the thing about awards. They're about what a specific group of people voted for. That's what they're worth. If you don't agree with them, it's because it's those specific people. That doesn't mean something is or isn't worthy of something. So, but that's why I'm interested, because it is a specific group of people, and I'm curious as to who reacts which way to what, Golden Globes, how it happens. But basically, that's our take on the movie.
And if you don't agree with us, that's fine.
We have comment sections. You are free to. I'm actually really curious as to, again, what people did and didn't like about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Not to tell us that we're idiots, but just, I saw this aspect differently. I don't know if you considered this. We may not have.
After all this talk of craft and stuff, I think one of the first things I said to you in our emails was just like at the end of the day, I'm a sucker for an outcast story. So that is like one of the main through lines of this movie.
Yeah, and I'm a sucker for a monster fucker story, and that's ultimately that's gonna get me. So it always will. But yeah, I think we came away from this with a lot of different things, a lot of different ideas about it, but we mostly did both like it. And I think we both appreciate Del Toro as a director.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't always agree with the storytelling decision he makes, but I will always go out and see his movies because I know I'll see something that's more interesting than half the stuff that's out there.
The other thing is, I don't think Crimson Peak is a better movie.
Oh,
but I love it. I like it more because it was like specifically made for me. He specifically made it for me. I don't know if y'all know this, but he did.
You have to link to that post you made after coming out of the movie.
Crimson Peak End. Yeah, it was caps lock from. I didn't even remember this until you reminded me of it. Just caps lock from beginning to end. Nightgown knife fight. I hadn't been so
of pure light, I think was one of the phrases you used.
I did. I had not been so happy in a movie theater since I had seen Jane Eyre in the theater a few years before that. And both of them involved Mia Wasikowska. So I should have known. But yeah, I mean, I think his movies are going to bring somebody that kind of transcendent joy. Yeah. There's like one movie he'll make and it'll get to you. Yeah. Maybe not. But Crimson Peak was mine. And I'm sure Frankenstein, based on what I read at the beginning, the article about he's never had this kind of reaction from audiences before, it seems to be hitting a lot of other people. This one's the movie that hits them.
Yeah.
So curious what everybody else thinks. YouTube may have different feelings about it than Tumblr has. There could be people who just haven't given their opinion on it yet, and more people liked it than, But and a lot of people on Tumblr did like it. They did like it a lot. And we can get on Blue Sky and see what people think, and it's just, even if it's divisive, it means that he's swung for the fences and done something interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will accuse him of half-assing this in any way. So,
if anyone did, I would wonder what reality they're living in.
Yeah, I would just be like, that's fine. You just stay over there in the Berenstain universe, and we're cool. We're cool. I understand that we're not talking about the same thing at this point. That's chill. Okay, so what are we doing right now? I mean, I know this is going to come out in January.
Yeah, so this is coming out in January.
In the new year, what are we planning on doing?
So I will hopefully have started my Silent Hill 4 stream on Twitch. That should be every other Wednesday on twitch.tv/idorty451. I'm going to be live streaming a playthrough of the original Silent Hill 4 because it's available on GOG.com. And I was actually like doing a trial run of like the first hour of gameplay last night. Remembered how frustrating that gameplay is sometimes, even on easy level, but like there are really interesting things about it story-wise, and there are things about the music that I want to talk about. So I'm going to be doing that. That hopefully won't take as long as the Silent Hill 2 remake, just because it is a game from 2004, and so whereas every game these days has to be like 20 hours, this one's more like 8. But yeah,
It didn't have that much room.
I'm doing that. If you're in the central New York area, my band Mosaic Mind has some shows are happening. This may come out after the one that we're playing in January, but we're playing at Funk and Waffles January 16th. And that actually, any of our Funk and Waffles shows, people can watch on Twitch at twitch.tv/Funk and Waffles. I think that's what it is. I'll post a link in the description or whatever. But if you're not in the central New York area, you can still watch that performance, and we'll probably put up on YouTube afterwards because we are usually able to get the video from the live stream. So we've got a show Friday, January 16th. We've got a show Friday, February 20th. The one in January is with a band called Pega. The one in February is with a band called Memo. And hopefully at this point we've announced our album release, since we're almost done with the album, but I never want to jinx that stuff, so I'm not going to say exactly. But if we have, it will be displayed on screen right now. But yeah, those are the things that are coming up for me. What's coming up for you, Cleo?
I have just gotten on Twitch finally, and a light hangout game, and I have a few more. I'm going to try to do games that actually have endings, and we can do them in a night or two, a stream or two. I do have a controller now because I had been playing on PC. So I'm gonna keep playing this run of Silent Hill 2 with a mouse because I'm comfortable with that. But when I start over for melee only, I have a controller. Watch the fuck out, Silent Hill. I am coming. I'm going to restart Silent Hill F on casual light mode because I didn't even get to the fighting. It was hard. It was rough. So I'm going to have that 360 jogging motion. It's going to be great. Got a bunch of games on sale. I'm waiting for Blueprints and Clair Obscure. And I'm still working on the Silent Hill 2 remake commentary. It's the writing up that's taking me so long, but I am posting clips as I go from the commentary 9. So you can see it's proof of life. We do have it. It is recorded. I was wondering if maybe I wanted to get on Twitch. I'm Cleo Linda Jones on Twitch, and maybe play the South Vale by Night section, which is mostly fighting. I had wondered if I wanted to play that live on Twitch.
That could be fun.
Because, I mean, it could be, but then I might also be fighting for my life and not be able to look at chat. It depends. We might try it. But I wouldn't have to be giving a TED talk because it's mostly just fighting. So,
and it's so
big
visually
fun.
beautiful, that whole sequence.
It's gorgeous. And I do want to have a mouse for that so that I can do some kind of camera pans. I have more control over that. So that'll be fun. But
I do recommend getting a second monitor if you're going to be streaming more.
At this point, I have my phone on a little holder to the side, and that's doing okay for now. But everyone pretty much agrees I need to get a second monitor, so I wonder what might happen for Christmas. I don't know. Even my mom thinks I need a second monitor. She's like, I have 3 monitors for work. I'm like, okay. Like, showing off over here. Wow, tech mom. Okay. I'm hoping to maybe get back to the Varney the Vampire recaps that I was doing a while back, which I also had already resurrected from LiveJournal. I'm trying to do more audio. I may either read the recaps aloud or read the actual text aloud. It's completely ridiculous, and that could be fun. It's also very repetitive, so we may just want the recaps. I'm also not great with voices.
I have also been...
Maybe I get you to read.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe I get you to read The
fun.
Admiral and Jack Pringle. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've been wanting to do more reading stuff. I wanted to do Jekyll and Hyde this month, and then just timing was not right. That is the gentlest way that I can put it. The most diplomatic way I'll put it.
December is hectic. I wanted to get the commentary 9 written up before like this weekend, and I realized that with us putting out like podcast on Saturday, me doing Twitch streams, a bunch of other stuff happened. Mm-hmm. It was my birthday, all kinds of crazy things. I just went, it's not happening. It's fine. It's Christmas. I don't know what kind of Twitch schedule I'm going to do, because I would like to say, oh, okay, maybe it's Wednesday nights. You're off Wednesdays.
Yeah.
But then I also went, do I want to show up just randomly and be like, I'm going to practice with the Kashimashi in Silent Hill F. Yeah. Come on over if you feel like it. I don't know. It's hard to pick a time.
I've also been threatening to do Blueprints Mondays, since I'm very far in the game, but something happened and in the game where I was like, oh, there is so much more to this game that I still have to do. And like, also to justify putting so much time into the game, it might be worth it to like stream it so that there's more to it than just me sitting at home playing it. So maybe I've started doing that. Maybe not. We'll see. January is going to be interesting.
In terms of a chill hangout game, I did just get Dredge on sale, and people had wanted me to play that. And there's several DLCs for it, even once you finish it. So I was like, that might be a fun chill hangout game. But I did want to play some with endings. Mm-hmm. I'm Cleo Linda on YouTube, and you're Idority 451.
Yeah, I'm Idority 451 on YouTube. I have my website, ian-doherty.com, and I'm Ian Doherty on Patreon and Bandcamp, and Idorty451, I think, basically everywhere else. But again, if you go to my website, ian-doherty.com, you'll find all my stuff, all my social links and stuff there.
I'm Cleo Linda everywhere except Twitch. I couldn't get that on Twitch, so I'm Cleo Linda Jones there.
Rats.
Patreon, I know. I don't even know who. It might have been me, and then I lost the login. I have no idea. But yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. Hang out on Tumblr. And if you think Tumblr's cringe, are you on X? Like, I feel like I'm getting the better deal here.
Yeah. I mentioned to someone the other night that I was still on Tumblr, and they started laughing, and I was like, look, for bang for buck, it is the best social media platform for me right now. It is probably weirdly one of the healthier ones for me right now, which I wouldn't have said 10 years ago, but
you can do so much more with multimedia over there.
Yeah.
Like tons of photos. You can do thousands of words
and
for
your fully chronological dashboard that doesn't get messed up and out of order.
There's no algorithm. I mean, most people are chill. It's very easy to block the people who aren't. Like, blocking is a time-honored tradition over there. You're supposed to block people and curate your own experience. No one gets mad. Well, probably people get mad, but no one is supposed to get mad. Everybody knows that's how it is. Again, if you think it's cringe, those are the gunshots to keep everybody away. It's fine.
Yeah.
So.
Also, it just struck me how it's kind of fitting that we're talking about like if you think it's cringe, well, whatever. Like, Frankenstein is a very genuine movie that some people might find cringe because of how genuine it is, but whatever.
We're cringe and we're free. It's absolutely fine. So Patreon, Blue Sky, Tumblr. Yeah. I still have my Dreamwidth, but I haven't been on there in a long time. And our joint YouTube account for the podcast is Cleo Ian Pod. Yep. Yes?
Yes, that is what it is.
I'm usually, by the end of a stream, my brain is usually mush, and I'm lucky if I can remember anything. So that's us, and we're going to try to do some new and interesting things in January, and hopefully continue the things that did work.
Yeah.
So in the new year, which by the time you listen to this, it will be, we're glad to see you here in the new year.
Yeah.
And we'll see you for our next discussion.
Talk to you next time.
No, I don't want to go to YouTube. Stop that. I don't want to go to YouTube with monster fucking on my lips here.
Nope.
No. Don't do that.
Algorithm, don't listen.
I'm on a list now. That's not going to work.